Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value. If you're looking for undervalued investment opportunities, click subscribe, join our community, and leave comments. If you guys have any comments or any questions, put them in the comment section. I know I'm getting a lot more comments, so it's getting a little bit more difficult to go and sift through all the comments, but I'll try my best to keep up and get you guys updated on what you guys want to be updated on. So I'm going to go through uranium and oil. I'm going to touch on a couple key points here. And I think they're looking pretty good. So let's jump in here, show you what I've got. So here's my favorite in terms of uranium and oil. So let's look at a few charts in both these sectors. I didn't go a whole bunch of charts. These are just kind of a high level. And we're looking for clues in bullish engulfing. So I'm going to show you what a bullish engulfing is. And again, this is financial education only. The one thing I want to talk about first is the dollar. The dollar is our tailwind. Yeah, I'm gonna pop out here real quick. The dollar's a tailwind. So think of it as we're racing. All right, everyone's gonna have a race. Let's say it's a 100-meter dash, and we're going to time our 100-meter dash. We're all gonna have a race, and we want to run as fast as possible. Now, if you were really smart, you'd want to choose every race that has a strong tailwind. Now, the dollar, with the declining dollar, and I'm getting kind of nervous on the dollar because we're seeing all commodities go way up. This is an inflation problem, and I don't want it to be too big of an inflation problem. But we're down 0.8%. We've got the wind at our back, and it's going to push our investments forward. That doesn't mean that every single down day is going to be an up day in the market. It is a condition. Conditions are like if you're going to run a race, the condition is we have a tailwind behind the runners. That doesn't mean that you're running 100% of the time with every day it has a tailwind. So we want to run or have our investments in areas that have tailwinds, but it doesn't correlate every single day. Like, it's not every down day will have this massive up day. Think of it as the conditions are there, and when the runners are ready and they shoot the gun, we run under those conditions. So these charts we're looking at, they take time to consolidate. They take time, the buyers, the sellers, all of these buyers and sellers interacting with each other. They take time to align. And then once they align and they break structure, so to speak, like a resistance line, momentum is carrying it higher, and we come up during, against resistance. We break the resistance, then the race is on. That gun fires, and then we shoot higher. We do an impulse to move higher. So think of it as we've got tailwinds, but we're not racing 100% of the time. I just want to make sure you guys all understand that. So here's the dollar. It did go down quite a bit. And one thing I want to cover is what a bearish or a bullish engulfing is. So a bullish engulfing is a candlestick. It's a bullish candlestick. Usually they're like a white body or a green body on a chart. It gaps. So this is the day before. We have a down day, the opening price and the closing price of the day before. With the wicks up, these are called wicks. That means sometime during the day, the stock traded over that area. So it opened here, it went up, and then it went all the way down and closed here. That's one day. Then the next day, it gapped lower. So the close was here, it gapped lower, so it opened down here. It went down a little bit during the day, and it reversed hard and went all the way back up and closed right here. This body of the candlestick engulfs the one before it in its entirety. That is called a bullish candle, and it's usually a reversal pattern. So that's what I mean by that. And a bearish engulfing is when the bearish candle engulfs an up day before it. It's just the opposite, which means it's a reversal point to go downward. I'm going to show you some charts and look for this pattern in there. So we've got uranium North Shore Global Mining. We don't have a bullish engulfing here, don't worry. So we broke this pattern here, moving on up. Usually when you end higher and close lower, the momentum's going down. The buyers came in here and just pushed this thing higher. the buyers are killing it in the uranium sector. There is money flooding into the uranium sector. And that's what I see in this chart. And we broke this resistance line. So we should be, the path of least resistance is higher. But most of the time you kind of break out, you kind of back test, and then you move. But the buyers flooded in, so it went higher. Camco. Now this is thinking about the bearish engulfing and bullish engulfing. We've got a resistance line here, and I think it even ended up higher than this because I did it at 120. Looking at this, we came down, we're coming on up. We hit our head on this resistance. Remember, all this is a fight between the buyers and the sellers. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at the charts and seeing who's winning this battle, and then basically decoding it for everyone on this channel. But when you look here, there's sellers up here because it's creating this line and you got a wick at the top. So it's like we got sellers up here, came back down. We came back up, we have a little wick at the top, and then we put in a bearish engulfing. It's that red day right here because it engulfs the day before it. Usually that's a pivot point to go down. But what did we see here? We saw the buyers come in and just throttle it higher. I mean, they throttled it. So the sellers are being completely overwhelmed by the buyers. And it's one to watch. Will this come back down under? I don't know. But it's insane how many buyers are coming in here and just buying it all up. So that's a cool looking chart, and the struggle between the sellers and buyers right here at this resistance line. UU. I didn't really draw too much on this. This guy's kind of tough to see and read. It's kind of just choppy all over. We do have a hammer here. A hammer is when you have a wick on the bottom, and then you've got a nice bullish piercing hammer where you've got the body that's over 50% of the one before it. It's a reversal pattern. So it reversed higher. We've got a bullish engulfing here. And then we've got the small down days and big up days. It's a stair step higher. So this is looking pretty good. Next is Lightbridge. I still think, so I've got a chart This is the SM Energy chart. And what this is, and I know you guys, I'll say Elliott wave, and you guys think of the Elliott wave where you've got all the little movements back and forth. What I'm doing is I'm comparing one Elliott wave movement using a real stock and comparing it to another Elliott movement wave using that movement. Right here is about where we're at right now, and I think we'll probably jumble sideways for a little bit longer because we still have to put in this tail here. I think we're going to come back down and still put in a tail. So it's going to take some time on Lightbridge, I think. SM Energy. Now we're swapping to oil because uranium looks pretty good. It's got its feet. It's regained its feet after yesterday. The buyers just stepped in and stomped them. But SM Energy here in the oil sector, this is a higher debt company. It is extremely, it has a lot of leverage to the price move of oil. And the one thing I really like about it is on the down days of oil, it doesn't pull back too much. I mean, it does every once in a while, but it's pretty resilient on the pullbacks. And then when it moves upward, it's like it's on steroids. It moves very well upwards. We got a bullish engulfing putting in right here. So I think that looks really good. Really good. And I would, I'm not buying anymore just because I own so much of it already. But this is a good looking stock right here. I like it. And we're seeing it across this sector. This is Centennial Development. We've got a big cup and then a handle pattern that's forming, and we got a bullish engulfing right here. See how that engulfs the one before it? We've got big up days and small little pullbacks. Signature trait that this thing wants to move on higher. So we also have the declining dollar. Oil is one of the biggest inflation hedges of anything. So if that dollar falls out, these things are going to rocket. And here's CPE, Callum Petroleum. Remember, I did these at 143. I don't know where they ended, but this is another bullish engulfing. We're right here about close to a breakout. And I think if we get through this sticky area, potentially move quite a bit higher if oil moves higher. And if we see a decline in the dollar, we see a surge in demand come back. I think that's a perfect scenario where oil could go much higher than where it is today. Here's Transocean, another one. I do like this guy. It's down there and it's starting to come back up. Perfect for people who like oil service companies. This is a drilling company that goes out in the ocean. I think they've got deep sea and shallow, a whole bunch of stuff. But this thing's been beaten into the ground. So good value there. And then Tetra Technologies, another oil service company. We had a nice big bullish engulfing here, engulfed the one before it. We're coming up. We are contracting. What I mean by contracting, the candlesticks are contracting the opening and closing price each day, which means the momentum is slowing and we might see a little bit of a pullback and a back test to this top here. We might see a pullback to $3 or something like that, or maybe 310, somewhere like that. And then usually that's what happens. Then it'll go back up. So the one thing I want to really drive home here is all of the commodity sector is like in full on jet mode. Why is that? It's not supply and demand. It is the dollar. And people are starting to figure this out and they're going to run. The rotation of money is going to run to commodities at some point. And when I mean run, it's going to be like a run. And I'm using all of my data, everything I know, the knowledge that I've gained over all these years of investing. One, to identify value and get there before everyone else. And the rotation is going to happen, and it's starting. You can see if you guys are watching some of these, we'll call it some of these companies, people, you can see them rotate in. And keep in mind, things don't go straight up forever. What you're going to see is you're going to see these guys pull up. There'll be an impulse move, and then it'll kind of go sideways for a while, just like you're seeing on this Tetra Technology stock behind me. We had this nice large move higher in here, and then we went sideways for a while. That is completely normal. Completely normal. That is what you expect. And if the pullbacks are just sideways like this right here, that pullback is sideways, that's an ultra strong stock. And what I like to do is I like to see it across the entire sector. It's not just one or two companies. I want to see all the companies exhibit it. And guess what? They're all exhibiting it, which means the entire sector is very strong. So what you want to watch is the dollar. And if you're in gold and silver and some of these other ones, you need to also watch the 10-year yield. And what's coming up is you're going to see inflation shoot higher. You're going to see interest rates chase. And you're going to see a big rotation of money. And it's really hard to time because when this stuff goes, you could see a very large move. And I know they're playing games. They're probably trying to hold down gold and silver. It's not going to work. None of this stuff's going to work. So if you're interested, I would definitely get the physical metals, get some in your hands, because I don't think this stuff's going to be around a year from now. I'm just guessing. I don't know. But that's what I have for the update for uranium and oil. They both look very strong, and I'm continuing to hold. And I would even accumulate some of those oil companies like CDEV, SM, and CPE, which is Callon Petroleum. Those are looking very strong. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys listening. This is Finding Value.